So, do you want to kick off, Ren?
Sure, I'll go first. I've gone international again, and I'm going to Europe, Amsterdam in particular, and I want to talk about Heineken, one of the largest beer brewers in the world.
Nice.
So Heineken, a bit about the company. It owns 165 breweries in more than 70 countries. It produces more than 250 beers and ciders and employs 73,000 people worldwide. It's the number one brewer in Europe and one of the largest in the world. I think since a recent merger between Anheuser-Busch and Saab Miller, it's number 2 in the world. So it does about 27 billion euro in revenue and a bit over 2 billion euro in profit. And it sold about 24 billion litres of beer last year. So a massive company by any respects, and in a massive industry.
Now, I'm curious, Ren, have you just chosen this stock because you like to drink beer?
Yeah, maybe.
Someone said to me, go with the names that you know and trust. I'm
That's it. Well, I've been doing a lot of research on the company. The reason I've chosen this company is the China story that is unfolding in the beer market, and particularly the premium category of the Chinese beer market. There's a long story, and I'll try and condense it as best I can, but essentially to sell your beer as a foreign country, or to sell any product as a foreign company into China, you need to partner with a local Chinese partner. And the biggest Chinese brewer is China Resources Beer, that had partnered with one of Heineken's rivals, Saab Miller. But with Saab Miller's recent merger, they had to part ways with China Resources Beer, and Heineken have snapped up the opportunity and have paid $3.1 billion for 40% of China Resources Beer, with the intention to make a very large push into the largest beer drinking market in the world. At this stage, Heineken has less than 1% market share in China, but partnering with China's biggest brewer should see them really make a big push into what is already the biggest beer drinking market, and the premium category of China's market is growing at a quite fast rate as well. So an interesting company, potentially opening up a new market, and so one that I thought would be interesting to watch.
Wow, I've never thought of China as being a massive beer market, but you're absolutely right. You know, rapidly changing standards of living, lots more disposable income. It would be perfect for the beer market, and I guess a love of imported products as well. So a premium European beer sounds pretty good.
Yeah, now the interesting thing is that traditionally China was a massive beer market, and the overall size of the beer market is being eaten into by the wine market. Wine is growing a lot faster than beer. What you're seeing in China is that the premium category of the beer market is still growing very quickly. It's just the sort of the lower end of the market is not growing as quickly. But yeah,
fascinating.
45.7 billion litres of beer drunk in China last year. So,
do you know Australia's numbers?
I don't. I know the US is about 20 billion litres. So a bit less than half of China.
Yeah, I know that Australia drinks a lot per person if you compare it to global standards. But I guess China, just in terms of its population, means that it's going to be a much bigger market.
Pure size. Yeah, absolutely.
And look, if you're not interested in Heineken, it looks like a lot of the big brewers in the world are making big pushes into China at the moment. So I spoke about Heineken, and they're partnering with China's largest brewer. Another big international brewer, AB InBev, tried to IPO their Asian business recently and then pulled it. And they've also paid a fair bit of money to become the exclusive distributor for Japan's Sapporo brand beer in China. Asahi has paid $8.2 billion for some of the biggest European brand names, and they're now aggressively marketing those brand names in China. And Carlsberg is partnering with a big Chinese brewer to also make a push into China. So it looks like a number of the big beer companies have the same idea, that China is a big growth opportunity. So it's going to be a very interesting battle to watch over the next, few years or few decades as these big brands fight for this massive market. And for me, Heineken partnering with the biggest brewer, the biggest Chinese brewer, gives them a strategic advantage.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. That makes sense. I wonder where they see India falling into all of this as well. I know that there's a couple of big Indian beer brands, but it would be interesting to see, I guess, with a huge population as well, a bit further down the track where these big brands are going to come in and start tackling that market as well.
Yeah, it will be interesting. There's just the whole brewing market. There's such a power law to it. Like the big brewers seem to just keep getting bigger and bigger, keep acquiring all the smaller brewers, and then you walk into a bottle shop and it looks like you got heaps of choice, but it's really just 4 or 5 companies producing a lot of different labels.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's really interesting seeing some of the trends because over in North America, people are drinking less alcohol, but they're infusing drinks with, is it CBD, the derivative from
the cannabis,
marijuana,
cannabis,
because in their minds that has a less health impact compared to alcohol. So they're saying it's almost a generational shift that we're seeing. So that will be an interesting shift to watch to see whether we do see a younger generation embracing a different type of drink. But the one I really like is the glitter beer. I hope that catches on.
Glitter beer?
What is that?
What's glitter beer?
Apparently you can buy beer with glitter in it.
Oh, what? Sounds awful.
So wrong.
How have I missed this all my life?
There's also that big trend that's coming through, and a lot of the big names in Australia are starting to bring out alcohol-free beer. I know Carlton have one, Heineken have one here as well, and also carb-free. So picking up on that trend of, I guess, people not wanting the health effects, as you said, Julia, of drinking beer, but I guess still wanting perhaps maybe the taste or that sort of social proof that it may look like they're drinking beer and in fact they're not.
Yeah, that's a huge market, the non-alcoholic or the low alcoholic market, because people are a bit more health conscious.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice, friend. Good pick.